Welcome into part 2 of my Dynasty teams that I'm recommending for you to use early on in the process. Now, these ones are going to be more focused on Power 4 teams. If you're looking for more of that group of 5 start point, go check out the video I made on those. There's about 15 teams in there that I think are going to be good starters for you. But if you're looking for the Power 4, you're in the right place. It's a little bit of the same format. I'm only going to do one team per conference, but I'm also going to talk about the Pac-12 and why I think that could be a valuable place for you to start and finish. We're going to start in the Big Ten with the Purdue Boilermakers. Historically, Purdue's not a bad football program, yet they were the worst Power 4 program last year and one of the worst programs in college football. The Ryan Walters era was not good, but you can win there, and Brom showed it. It's possible. You can do it. You know, it's pretty brand new from last year. What they've done in the offseason has been just bring guys in that are proven players. And they did bring Ryan Brown back, so he will be your quarterback of the future, which is super nice. Devin Mockaby is back for his senior season. Again, that's year one. You just need that kind of continuity, just baseline decent players that you can be able to rely on. I mean, everything else is really new, though. However, you know, on the defensive side of the ball, where everybody is new, you do have Tony Grimes, who is a good player, fast, can make plays. He'll be your CB1 in year one, and you'll be able to really use him to not get completely toasted. However, your defense is Swiss cheese, and you will lose a lot of football games. But you will be able to reload that defense very quickly because they're old, so getting your players for the system that you want to run. Recruiting is going to be tough, but you do get access to Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Illinois. You're in a really good location because you touch all of those states, and they're all pretty rich in football talent. Really, you're an hour away from Chicago, so you get to recruit those guys as well. Gary, Indiana, does a really good job of producing players consistently. You know, for as much as Gary gets crap, they do produce some good players. So you'll be able to use proximity to home against those guys or on those guys as well. Along with playing time. And recruiting against the big boys is super fun, right? So there's that as well. The uniforms and the colorway are super high end. The black and gold is phenomenal. The way that they allow you to customize that and have their different kinds of uniforms, I think they do a really good job of that. Ross Aid is another underrated atmosphere, along with Reser Stadium. I think that it doesn't give enough credit. But you've seen it when they host a top 5 team and they upset them. Man, Ross Aid gets freaking insane. And there, you get this team going, you're going to have a fantastic crowd, and your home field advantage is going to be through the roof. Your rival is now investing into football like it never has in Indiana, and so you actually have to compete against your rival now. It's no longer a free win on the recruiting trail or on the field. You're going to have to fight for it. Now, if you're looking at entirety of college football, Purdue is probably the toughest to rebuild. When you talk about their lack of resources comparative to the rest of their conference, their unwillingness to build a good football brand, and then where their roster is at year one, who they have to compete against, this might be tougher than that UMass one because of who they have to consistently play year after year after year. You can't hang your hat on championship contender at any point unless you actually shock the world and become a decent team. So, if you're up for the challenge, this one is calling your name. In the SEC, you have another one that's going to be brutal, but not quite as bad as Purdue, and that's Mississippi State. The death of Mike Leach, may he rest in peace, left this team in a really tough spot. And your goal here is to really reach the highs of the Dan Mullen era, some of the best, probably the best in Mississippi State history, and you want to add to their one conference championship. You need to fill that trophy case. There is not a lot of talent on this team. You either go with Blake Shapen at quarterback or Luke Kromenhoek, who they brought in as a transfer from Florida State. He didn't show much while he was there. You do get Fluff Bothwell from South Alabama, so that's going to be super fun. He's a bruiser. Just your traditional old school running back that loves to run behind his pads. That's going to be a cool one for you. It's an older team, so you clean house very quickly. You get in there, you play year one, and all of a sudden it's your team. You got your guys in there. They fit your identity. They're doing exactly what you want to do, and it can be a quick turnaround because of that. They do have some of the lowest available resources in the SEC, which does make it super tough to recruit against your Alabamas and your Georgias, or even your in-state rival in Ole Miss. You're just going to have to try and compete with them by finding those little inefficiencies, right? It's the Moneyball tactic. Find guys that they don't notice the value of so that you can capitalize on that. And having Ole Miss as your primary rival is such a fun selling point. The Egg Bowl every single year is one of the most fun rivalry games. The pageantry behind it, the absolute disdain that Ole Miss fans have for Mississippi State fans, and vice versa. It really is one of those premier rivalries in college football that you get to be a part of, and you get to measure yourself against Ole Miss every single year. And once you start beating them every year, then it's, hey, again, pride. I'm happy. Look at where I got my team. At the beginning of this thing, we couldn't beat anybody. We couldn't beat Toledo. Now look at us. We're beating Ole Miss 5 straight years in a row. And then when you do get this team back in contention, I mean, we're talking about some of the best fans in college football. The Cowboys are so freaking annoying that they're going to give you the home field advantage that you could only dream of. And that's why you go with Mississippi State. Now, if you want to go to the Big 12, the team I would recommend is Cincinnati. Now, they have struggled ever since the departure of Luke Fickell. There have been a lot of really good coaches that have been at Cincinnati, so it proves that you can win there. Fickell did it. He got to the college football playoff in an era that nobody thought a group of 5 ever would. And Satterfield has not been very good, so there's a talent depletion on the roster that you need to fill. This program can be a machine if it gets the right guy in the doors. It's because of the recruiting base. It's because of the buy-in from the fans, from the collective. It will be there. You just have to build it. If you build it, they will come. You get to recruit Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, and even Michigan, right? All of it is right there for you. Just take advantage of it. You're the second biggest brand in the state on day one. And so you can use that as an advantage for recruiting some of these, 4 stars in the state of Ohio. And get on them early and be like, hey, yeah, Ohio State is the biggest brand, but you're not going to be able to play there. You can play with us. Why don't you just come over to Cincinnati, and one day we're going to be the biggest brand in the Big 12, and then we're going to surpass Ohio State as the biggest brand in college football. That is the goal. And then you get to be in a wide open, conference. And that's something that essentially no other conference can say. The Big 12 is wide open. Right now, Arizona State looks like they're in the best position to take advantage of that. But why can't it be Cincinnati? Why not? They have all of the resources available to them. If you hit the ground running early, you can establish yourself as the best in the conference by year 3. And that would be phenomenal. You do start off with Brendan Sorsby, who is a very solid option for quarterback at year 1. He's got an insane arm. That throw power is going to be through the roof. It's going to be something you can rely on consistently to help bail you out of tough situations. Now, the rest of the offense is replacing a lot of its talent. They lose the running back to NFL offensive linemen. So there's going to be a lot of new faces. There's going to be a lot that you have to evaluate, replace, find what fits, like I've said a lot, and figure out what doesn't, right? There's going to be a lot of evaluation in that first year, but you also want to use it because it's the only year you got a Brendan Sorsby. Or you might have him for an extra year. I can't remember what his eligibility looks like, but you want to take advantage of him while you have him. The defense has one of the best players in college football, and Dante Corleone. So day one, you're able to have a disruptor on the interior that just sets the tone for your defense. Your back end is a little young, and so they're going to develop as the season goes on, and you use year 1 to catapult yourself into a better year 2 there. But you can really take advantage of being able to stop the run in year 1 to put yourself in a good position to compete for a bowl game. Their uniforms are awesome. They got a good combo. Black and red, you can never go wrong with that, and they do a really good job of mixing and matching in their uniform sets. And Nippert Stadium is awesome. I think there are so many stadiums in college football, like I've already mentioned, that are super underrated. Nippert is one of them. It's such a cool atmosphere, especially when the team is good. That place is going to get rowdy, and you're going to be having a lot of fun playing there. With Cincinnati, you need to take advantage of the open conference and the great location because this team could be a legitimate national powerhouse if somebody just stays and develops and puts time and effort into this program. And that could be you. Moving on to the Pac-12, and that's right, I got both Pac-12 teams in here. So I'm gonna kind of do them in conjunction with each other, because Washington State is replacing their head coach, offensive coordinator, QB1, wide receiver 1, left tackle, and a bunch of other players that are really good, and why Washington State was a good team last year. Man, they're just not going to be a very good team. They had to replace so many things and find new faces. Man, it's going to be tough in year one to just figure out what the identity of the team is. But you also get to recruit Washington and California, which is a great stepping stone to success, because they're talent-rich states. A lot of the top players in college football every year come from either Washington or California, and so you're setting yourself up for that success, maybe not early, but eventually, and that's what we want to get to. We want to put ourselves in a good spot. You get to compete against Washington for the Apple Cup every single year and for in-state talent. Like, how fun is that? They've got the series lined up for the foreseeable future, and you can also schedule it. You have the control to do so. And Martin Stadium is a super fun atmosphere. I mean, if you've ever watched a Washington State night game, you know that the people of Pullman get out there in full force and know how to be a raucous crowd. Like, that's going to be a place where once you get to the top 25, that it's going to be bumping, and you're going to feel really prideful about what you did there. You create the new Pac-12. You invite all of those teams in after year one, and all of a sudden you don't have to play Oregon State twice anymore. Speaking of Oregon State, man, they're still feeling the effects of losing Jonathan Smith and a lot of what made that 2023 Beaver team special, and why I was like, this is what college football is about. They had 7 passing touchdowns last year. It's just not going to cut it. Now, good news for you is they did bring in Malik Murphy from Duke by way of Texas in the transfer portal. Now, he's not a great throwing quarterback, but he's at least better than what they had previously, and will at least, at the very minimum, be in the mid-80s in terms of overall, which starting quarterback you'll absolutely take. Darius Clemens is probably going to be your go-to wide receiver. He's just a big-bodied, physical guy that's going to go up and get it. Perfect for a quarterback like Malik Murphy, whose accuracies are just awful, and it'll save you a lot of headaches. He'll be a good weapon in his final season of college football. And then really where you're going to make your money is that run game. So Malik Murphy's a bigger-bodied quarterback. He's not super fast, but he does have some speed. And so that zone read game, that just design QB game, the run game in general is going to be where you make your money. Anthony Hagerson is the lead back for the Beavers, and he is phenomenal. He was an 88 overall last year. I imagine he's going to be even higher this year after last season. And you also have Allah Saladin, who was phenomenal in his own right as the RB3 last year. So he's coming back. That's one of the best 1-2 punches you can ask for, especially from a team that's rebuilding early on. Listen, man, I think that Oregon State's in a better spot than Washington State is, or especially in year one. But I think that in terms of branding and historic success, Washington State has got a leg up, and so there are gives and takes there, and really pick whichever one you feel is going to be the most fun. But for me, the black and orange of Oregon State has this aura. It has this pull for me. I love the variety that they have in their uniforms, and I think that the pop of orange with that black is just so sleek. It's so nuanced and detailed. And then their script beavers, along with the actual beaver head, I think they do such a good job with making the variety work for them. It's beautiful. And then obviously Reser Stadium is one of the most underrated in the country. I don't think it gets enough credit for being a fantastic atmosphere, especially when the team is good. That place gets up there in decibels. Those people in Corvallis know how to get it done. And again, it's the same thing as Washington State. You get to recruit Washington. You get to recruit California. You get to recruit against Washington, Oregon, USC, Stanford, Cal, UCLA. Like, these are teams that you are going to see consistently on the recruiting trail that are going to make your life a living hell, right? These are teams that you had to do it against in the Pac-12 when it was the Pac-12. And if you want to bring back the Pac-12, there's nothing stopping you from doing so. And I also think the fun thing is you get to play Washington State twice in the regular season this year because they could not find enough games. Oregon State is a good option as well if you're looking for one of those two Pac-12 teams to eventually move into the actual Pac-12 as it will be in the future. Our final team hails from the ACC, and they don the tree. That is the Stanford Cardinal, the West Coast team playing in the East Coast Conference. What more can you ask for? 3-9 in 4 straight seasons. They need a change, and that can be you. Tougher conference that you are clearly the worst team of, and maybe it's you and Wake Forest, but there's a lot of separation between you two and everybody else. Your rival isn't great, but they're still going to offer you a challenge early on. Justin Wilcox has Cal playing decent football, so you're going to have to be able to jump on them early if you can and really catch up, because there is room to grow there where you can surpass Cal pretty early on. You get to recruit California. You have A+ academic prestige, easy sells right there. So that's going to allow you to be national in terms of recruiting. You can rebuild quickly if you do it the right way. The ACC has a lot of fun, unique teams to play against, which I think adds another dynamic to the game, because you don't want to play what feels like the same team 8 times a year. That just gets so monotonous and boring. I think the ACC specifically does a really good job of their teams playing different play styles. They just have their own brand of football that you have to prepare for, and it makes things interesting. Their defense has a lot of holdovers from last year and should be a better than awful unit. Still won't be great, but it will be the better of the two. The offense, like the defense, does have that carryover, but it's not very good. And so you're just going to have to go with the flow in year one, figure out what you need for year two, recruit that into the system so that they can grow and develop, and set yourself up down the line to be a really good team. We want that exponential growth. We don't want one game. We want to go from 3 wins to 6 wins to 12 wins. That's what we want. That's the progression we're looking for. It's a ton of roster overhaul. You really have to build it from scratch. Your first and second years are not going to be easy, and that's what I love about rebuilds, is that it is a grind to get this team to a place where we are competing for national championships and competing for championships in the ACC. I don't want it to be easy. I want to work for it. I want it to be because I put in the work on the recruiting trail. I did my job in the transfer portal to, keep guys on my team and also find guys where I needed to fill gaps. Their uniforms are a little bit bland, but they're iconic, man. Like you see the cardinal color and you think Stanford in college football, and you have to be able to accept that. They're not going to change that. It's like your Penn State or your Alabama. They're not going to have alternate uniforms because they're such an iconic home look. So you got to stick with it. And I think that's part of the reason that you pick Stanford, is that they have been good before. There has been years under Jim Harbaugh in the early years of David Shaw where they were a premier program in the country. You can get them back there. That is why you pick Stanford, is to return them to where they once were. Those are 6 teams that I think are going to give you a little bit more of a challenging start because of the conferences they play in. That's why I usually go Power 4 route. When I do, is because I want those first couple of years to be more challenging than the group of 5 ones can offer because of that conference level. That is all I have for you today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Catch you on the flip. See ya.